What would you do if you really believed that you could? Would you dust off that old dream? Would you try that thing that you've always wanted to do? Or would you take that one tiniest, first, small, brave step towards living the kind of life that you long to live? Hi, I'm Casey Page, and welcome to This Unfolding Life. I'm a singer, songwriter, and spiritual seeker who's trying to figure out what it means to live fully alive. This is a 10-week podcast series where I'll be unpacking the life lessons and the creative process behind the songs that will be on my upcoming album that's currently in the works and will hopefully be releasing in 2026. Music has always been a huge part of my life. My parents were both musical. My dad played guitar and piano, and my mom sang, and they were always inviting me to join them. So as early as 4 years old, I was singing with them and joining with them at family gatherings and at church. And by the time I was 13, I wrote my first original song. I remember since I grew up in the church, the song happened to be about Jesus, and it was from the perspective of somebody who was in the crowd as Jesus's life unfolded. And of course, the title was Jesus, but it was in the style of an old folk song. And that was because my dad was a folk singer. And so much of the music that I listened to was the 60s folk music that he loved, like Peter, Paul and Mary or Bob Dylan. And so that's just what I naturally gravitated to. It was my dad who encouraged me to write songs. And as soon as I tried it, I knew that this was an artistic medium that I would love for the rest of my life. The way that you put together lyrics and melody to create this third thing in a song was just magical to me. And it felt like it used all the different parts of me because I love to write, but I also love to sing and love to perform and to make melodies. And so to weave those two things together was a beautiful and inspiring experience for me, even early on in my teen years. I remember I was going through a lot of hard stuff as a early teenager, as a lot of teenagers do. And I felt lonely and afraid of the future and just wanted to fit in and belong, but didn't feel like I did. So I had a lot of hard times, hard days, afternoons after school. And I remember that songwriting was a safe haven for me in that time. And that as I was in that formative period of my life, that songwriting really helped me find myself. And that's what creativity does for all of us. It gives us the gift of ourselves. And if we've lost ourselves, it gives us back to ourselves. It reminds us of the beauty that we already hold. It gives us an avenue to allow that beauty to come out. Whether it's planting a garden or cooking a dinner that smells amazing or doodling in a notebook, all of these creative acts help us to explore who we are and then to allow who we are to manifest out in the world for us to enjoy on our own or for others to enjoy and see too. Yet so many of us believe that we're not creative or that maybe we're not good enough to create. But that's just not true. It is our birthright to create. It is your birthright to create. You were actually born to create. We are creative beings, and we are all invited to express who we are out in the world in creative and beautiful and inspiring ways, ways that only each one of us can individually do. Nobody else can bring the creative offerings that you can. So maybe the real question isn't, can I create? But instead it's, what is asking to be created through me? What is asking to be created through you? Sometimes it's small, like when I feel pulled to dig around in my garden, or when I have the sense in my heart that I just want to go and pick up my guitar and see what might come through me. These are all small pullings from inside of me, and it's easy to ignore them. And a lot of the time I do. But that doesn't make them any less real. And we all have those small invitations every day to allow ourselves to be creative and to infuse our regular days with the adventure of creating. We just need to pay attention to those yearnings and to allow ourselves to follow them. So you don't need permission to create, but if you feel like you do, here it is. You are allowed to create. You are allowed to create. You are actually invited to create. There is no standard that you need to uphold in order to be a creative person. You already are creative. It's just a matter of living in to who you already are. You are invited and allowed to create. You know, I've been thinking about starting this podcast for over a year, and I haven't done it because I've been scared. And whenever I've thought about doing it, thoughts have come into my head like, is that a good use of your time? Or is that a waste of time? Or shouldn't you be writing songs instead? Or do you really even have anything meaningful to say? Or that feels overwhelming and it feels exhausting and I have no idea how I would even start. So no, let's just not worry about that right now. I just can't. But as I am going into this season and preparing to release my music, I just knew that it would be so neat to be able to share the backstories to these songs and the life that has been lived that has created these songs over time. And I really didn't want to miss out on that opportunity. So I thought, okay, I'll just give myself an hour. I will sit down on a Friday, which happens to be one of my days off, and I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to give myself an hour to try. I'm just going to write out some thoughts and see where it goes. And if it doesn't feel right, I'm going to let it go. And I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to say, okay, I've tried that, but it's not for me. I'm moving on. I'm going to give myself an hour. And I think I even timed myself because I've been finding lately that can help me. So I timed myself. I tried to write this podcast episode and some stuff came out, enough for me to feel like I could move forward. And now here I am. And we'll see how it goes. This is a whole experiment right now that you are witnessing, but I'm glad that I'm here and I'm glad that you're here because it's one of the ways that I am being creative right now and expressing what's inside of me out in the world. And the same is true for the new album that I'm getting ready to release. Over 20 years ago, I gave music everything that I had. And after a lot of closed doors, I slowly but surely gave up on my dream. And over the past 20 years, I have wanted to start again, time and time again. There have been so many times when I've wanted to try again, but either something's happened that has discouraged me, or thoughts have come, such as, well, now you're too old. Or how do you go from 0 to 100? Like, how do you start writing songs and sharing them and recording them when you haven't written a song in a year or 2 or 3? And other thoughts like, what if I try and nothing comes? That's a really scary thought. What if I just can't write songs anymore? And I also had a season in life where I just felt numb. So I also thought, do I even have anything to say? I don't even know what I would say in a song. So how can I do it? But with songwriting, it's been a few years, but I just joined a community online that I found through a friend. And in joining that community, I started to write songs again, or at least to try to. And I started sharing them with that community. So that gave me some structure and some support. And 3 years later, I've just followed step by step and now have songs that I'm ready to release that I'm so excited for you to hear. It's a journey, and it takes a little step at a time, but that doesn't mean that it can't happen. So let me come back to where we started. What would you do if you believed that you could? Maybe your answer feels really far away right now. Maybe you're just too tired to even try to figure that out or to think about it. And that's okay. It's okay. Even that kind of question can be overwhelming. And maybe you just need to rest for a while before you even enter into the question. But whatever it might be for you, once you're ready to ask that question of yourself, I invite you to take the first step towards it. It might be dusting off that old guitar, like me. It might be planting a garden, or Googling a question, or asking ChatGPT like we all are doing now. It might be talking to a friend and just talking it out with somebody. Whatever it is, I invite you to find one gentle, kind step for you to take towards answering that question for yourself. And I invite you to sit with the question this week and see what stirs within you. You might even journal about it and just imagine, what would I do if I believed I could? And see what comes. If you want a little help with that, I have a free PDF download in the show notes that has some guiding questions for you and some space for you to journal as you sit with this question. What would I do if I believed that I could? Next week, I'll be sharing the story and the life behind the first song on my album, New Tree Growin' from the Old Dead Root. And until then, you can listen to an acoustic version of my song here. And you can also listen to it on all streaming platforms. The link to all of those is in my show notes. May you continue to be encouraged and guided on the journey of your beautiful, unfolding life. See you soon.